This one happens to have a black top and 106-degree track temp. The drivers today will likely be struggling with overall grip, especially in the low, blind, slow apexes all around this motorcycle circuit. We've just strapped 2 more wheels onto our rocket ships today. We'll see who can conquer BARBER Motorsports Park the best. With 16 turns, just over 2.25 miles, this place definitely will twist your brain into a knot, just like it does to your steering wheel.
It most certainly will. This track was built in 2002. It opened in 2003. Basically the brainchild of a man named George Barber. And it has hosted the INDYCAR Series since 2010. It is very scenic, very picturesque. You'll notice all throughout the track there are sculptures. There are things hanging from gantries and overpasses. One of those mannequins once famously fell on James Hinchcliffe during the race. But this track really is beautiful. It may not produce some of the best racing because it is very difficult to pass on, but it is picturesque. It is highly technical. And this place is like being inside of an elevator, Clindy. There is a ton of elevation change among the 15 turns here.
Yeah, a lot of the last whole sector of the track is basically the reverse corkscrew from Laguna Seca. You do blind drops up and down all the way through. Most of them are right-handers rather than left-handers. And instead of there being sand, there's grass. So if you're familiar with the Star Wars films, instead of being on Tatooine, today we are on the lush forested moon of Endor.
We are indeed. We are in qualification mode. We've got about 5 minutes left, and this is Seb Alexander. We're going to get on board with Seb and just kind of let you guys ride along with the Indy Alliance Racing driver, fresh from his vacation. Seb's looking pretty good out here. He had a great run in the Indy Elite 500 last night. Clindy, Seb's not been back for very long, but he's definitely going fast and having a good time out there, my man.
Yeah, how long you're on the service doesn't dictate how good of a time you can have or how fast you can go. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is Seb rocking some new colors this week? I'm seeing him in a black, golden, yellow, and orange car rather than white.
You know, he could be. My trading paints decided to scuff itself, Clindy, so I am going to get it reopened, and I'm showing him in his familiar white, orange, and yellow, but it could be that he is in something different. Lorenzo Manfredotti, he's going to go quickest on the board as we watch Seb.
Our winner from last week at Portland had a grand slam, hit the fastest lap, got the pole, led all the laps, and won the race. He's looking to repeat, go 2 weeks in a row here, but he does have some competitors. I know that Kevin Burrell, among others, will be practicing for this track. Mitch Welker, I know, is very fast here because this will be a qualifying race for the Pro Series. Expect to see a lot of these drivers giving it their all this afternoon or this evening as a bit of a dry run for those qualification races later this summer.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the Pro Series. This track was either in the qualifiers or it was part of the Pro Series last time, and so this definitely carries over. Guys like Kevin Burrell that were in the Pro Series last time, they've got the trick setups already for this place, and they're working on refining those. Whereas people like Seb Alexander, Mitch Welker, Nick Sudik, guys that almost made it, they're working on their stuff as well. That's going to be a huge advantage for them. One of the guys that I'm surprised to see further toward the back, Rashad Craig, the Indy Alliance driver, was lightning quick at Long Beach, and he's all the way at the back in qualifications here at Barber. This is a great view.
He only seems to have one.
Go ahead, Clindy.
He seems to have one time on the board. It looks like he's completing his second lap and went off into the sand trap. So no, just a banker, no fast screamer for Craig today. He'll have to do his work from the back.
Watching Kevin Burrell, this is a great shot. If you're just joining us on the P1 Broadcasting Network, thank you to all of our new subscribers, by the way, Clindy. I understand you're gonna have to get out the rattle can here in pretty short order. We crossed that 1,000 subscriber threshold, my man.
We did indeed. Just before the broadcast went live, we crested 1,000 subscribers. Thank you to everyone in the community. That'll help our channel get monetized, which means that Murph and I won't have to beg as often for donations and for you to become a channel member or to send super chats. But it's a long road ahead of us as we go through the month of May. We're looking to put up some really big numbers on the channel and bring you some of the best IndyCar content on the service. And Kevin Burrell goes to the top of the board, a 106.875.
Yeah, that's that pro setup. Those are those pro setups that I was talking about on board with Mitchell Ian Green. Just trying to give the fans here an idea of how much elevation there is at Barber. You were watching out of Kevin Burrell's left eyeball. Now we're on the roll hoop of Mitchell Ian Green as he goes around 5B and 6. The short squirt down toward turn. Well, I think I might be crossed up, Clindy. Or no, I'm not. There's 7, 7A, 7B, around 8 and 8A, toward the chicane at 9 and 10. That's probably the most famous part of the track, Clindy.
Yeah, and it'll definitely throw you for a loop. If you're racing the default setup here, it just does not have quite enough downforce to go flat out through there, but you really, really want to. So if the track is any hotter than 100 degrees, you're going to be sent for a spin. These last two corners, you have to be so slow and take such a late apex into the penultimate corner in order to really nail the last corner. You will not believe any of the fast drivers around here, but they are always in the gas through those two things to keep the rear of the car pointed and rotating. So you're driving your car with your feet and not with your hands.
Yeah, and the bumps really do upset it, don't they?
Well, my mental focus is upset whenever I'm here. So whatever the bumps are doing, my attitude needs an adjustment worse than the suspension does.
Clindy. On the pole with a lap of 106.875. That's Kevin Burrell. The general, Lorenzo Manfredati, is going to start outside. Mitch Welker, he's going to go from row 2 alongside Ethan McNichol. Row 3, Nick Sadiq and Blaze Andrich, two of our regular competitors. Oh, hey, Olivia Hayward is going to start 8th, Seb Alexander 9th, and Nigel Honiger is going to round out the top 10. Shady Ahmed is going to go 11th. Shady and I raced together quite a bit in the Road America 500. Good to see Shady Ahmed on the grid. We've got Connor Parise. He's going to go 12th. Nadi Immel is going to start 13th. 14th, Logan Edwards. You'll see Logan Edwards in many of our P1 broadcasts. He's been a regular in the AMA side of things. 15th, Milo Green. 16th, Caleb Brashear. Rashad Craig, 17th. Matt Taylor, 18th. Shotgun on the field, Alexander Miller is going to roll 19th. So 19 cars. And Clindy, you were saying it kind of split oddly. Did it not?
Yeah, for some reason, I was seeing that we had 19 drivers in our split and 17 drivers in the bottom split. Typically, you would see the splits be as even as possible. I would expect there to have been 18 and 18, and when I hopped in to register, it said we had 40 participants, which means we should have had 20 and 20. It's entirely possible that people withdrew at the very last second to make these car counts what they are, because I believe iRacing has changed the UI to where things kind of get locked in 30 to 40 seconds before the session goes live, but you can still withdraw. So some people may have been registered and then decided to withdraw at the very last moment, which may have messed with the car counts.
May have. You were absolutely correct, Clindy. Now that Seb Alexander is up and I'm no longer looking at his paint from my cache, he has painted the white parts of parts of that car that were white. Upon his return, they are now black. So that's a sharp-looking machine. Kind of the same layout as Rashad Craig's, just with the familiar orange and yellow instead of the lime green and silver. Good-looking hot rod for the Indy Alliance driver Seb Alexander.
Bold strategy choice by Matt.
I know if he likes Halloween at all. I think we might call him the Headless Horseman or the Jack-O-Lantern with that paint. It looks very October 31st.
We might. I appreciate the fans' patience for breaking the fourth wall. I have been racing for much of this week, Clindy, and I simply did not turn the driver chat off, and that's something that we'll want to do. Not that these guys are foul-mouthed by any stretch, but it can definitely get heated sometimes, especially around a tight road circuit such as this one. And so we'd like to spare our fans of any potential unpleasantness. And do want to thank everybody for joining us, by the way. Before we get started, each and every one of the fans, Ryan O'Donohue in here celebrating. Clindy, Paula is here for you. Scott's Moto Adventures. Do want to thank everybody. We've done it. 1,000 subscribers. Another big audience here. 38 laps at Barber. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the like button on the video. Ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. Kevin Burrell, the General, is behind the Porsche 911 pace car, and we are just about ready to kick this thing off, Clindy.
I'm very excited here to see how they navigate the first 2 turns on cold tires. A majority of the front runners are starting on the alternate red sidewall compound. I would expect that Burrell will jump the start and Welker will follow, so Manfredotti might slot into third if he's asleep on the initial start at all.
He may indeed. We're going to watch the restart from the flag stand, and then we're going to jump up in the P1 airship so that we can watch the entire field wind its way through Barber. It is a very tricky start here, especially if you're on cold tires. Everybody at the front of the field has more or less opted for the red sidewalled alternate tires. Mitchell Ian Green, Ian Hayward, Seb Alexander, they're on the primaries, as is Shady Ahmed, and then everybody from 13th on back. So an even split on the tire strategy even, Clindy.
Yeah, and I think if you're towards the back, it makes a lot of sense. Burrell is going very early. Here they go.
Yeah, they're almost single file by the time they get to the green flag. The green flag is out. Matt Taylor is going to start the race from the pit lane. Barney waves.
Oh, there goes Manfredotti. He's off in turn 1. The cold tires strike again.
They do indeed. Oh, hey, Olivia Hayward, I saw her go off as well. That's Nigel Honecker and Lorenzo Manfredotti. My goodness gracious. He is already going to be out of this race. We're going to go ahead and get back in the Wayback Machine, and let's see what's happened to Lorenzo Manfredotti. He's starting second. He's right behind the fiercely forward machine of Kevin Burrell, and you called it, Clindy. Just cold tires. He didn't quite get the thing turned enough, and into the kitty litter he goes.
Yeah, Shady Ahmed did a great job avoiding that. Flipped the curb on entry to stay low, but that put him out in the grass by Ohe and Manfredotti, but kept it all under control, no damage, and Ahmad will regroup. Meanwhile, Burrell leads over Welker as they come to complete lap 1 through the last section of this race course.
And then here's Nigel Honegger sliding back in it into is going to back it into Manfredotti. We're gonna check out what happened here. Same thing. All 3 cars spun in exactly the same way. Ohe did it. Manfredotti did it. Honegger did it. It didn't matter how much experience you had. All 3 cars, Clindy, by the way, were all starting on the. Those 3 cars were all starting on the outside, on the dirty line. Honegger trying to make it back to the pits. He spins again.
Yeah, pit road entry is also equally dubious here. It's basically that roller coaster you're talking about. You have to ride the chains up, and then you take the course down and hope that you don't lock up coming to pit road. It looks like Honegger needs to get a new rear wing, but his suspension seems to be in place. The rear wing replacement is a 15-second adjustment, so he will be well off the pace of the leaders here, but will be able to soldier on.
So we'll reset the field for you. Kevin Burrell is your leader. He is about 6-7 tenths ahead of Mitch Welker in second. Welker, he's an old pro. He is the Formula Indy Series champion on multiple occasions, and so there's Kevin, the General, looking back at Mitch Welker. Ethan McNichol is third as Kevin Burrell sets the purple lap. There's McNichol. He is third, and he has a boatload of trouble coming from Blaze Andrich and Nick Sudik right behind them.
Sudik looking to go fiercely forward, as his team name suggests, and secure a bigger points lead this week. Chasing him in the points are among his teammates and some competitors who chose to not show up this week, so Sudik's in a great position to put himself well ahead of the competition in week 7.
We had a pass for position back here. That's Logan Edwards. He's going through Nadi Immel. So Logan Edwards put him up to 9th in the light blue and white car there. Nadi Immel goes back to 10th, and he is immediately under attack from Seb Alexander in the black and orange, and it sounds so weird to say that, the black, orange, and yellow Indy Alliance machine running in 11th, and this is by far the best battle on the track. Rashad Craig has moved up 5 spots. He started 18th He has already made it to 13th, and he is all over the back of Caleb Brashear in 12th. So the two Indy Alliance cars moving forward for sure.
Yeah, they definitely have something figured out in their shop. They like to go fast for a long time, not a short time. Or maybe they're just having some fun passing their competitors today. I think Seb Alexander maybe wished that...
Whoa,
Logan
big
had
slide
taken
from Rashad. My goodness gracious. Sorry, Clindy. I didn't mean to...
Oh, the action takes precedence over my pontifications, always.
Clindy, nothing should ever take precedence over your pontifications. Also say that 3 times fast. On board with Rashad Craig. You can see him. And look at how much Rashad is working that wheel, Clindy.
Yeah, going through Charlotte's Web is an absolute nightmare. If you've never raced a road course before, or if you don't know what a high-power downforce car feels like in a hairpin, that is not the place to learn it. I learned that the hard way, practicing for the Warriors for Peace series earlier this season. I spent an hour and a half on this racetrack and could never figure out that dang corner. That spider's just there, lurking, tempting you, saying, hey, don't go too fast, don't go too slow.
It is indeed. Here's Rashad Craig, and just so our fans know what the things on the tower mean over there on the left-hand side, it is the interval to the car in front. The red or black arrow signifies which compound of tire the driver is currently on. Red is the red alternate sidewall alternate tires. Those are softer. They do not last nearly as long at speed, so there is a penalty if you run them too long. The black primary tires, they're not as fast. But they do last longer. They have more grip for longer. As you see, the field is an even split at the moment. We are watching from the blimp as Rashad Craig all over the back of Caleb Brashear. This is 13th and 13th, looking at 12th. Up the road just a bit, Seb Alexander has fallen away a little bit from Nadi Immel, and you can see that the car when they go through that chicane there. It's very easy to lock the right front up, Clindy, because you're dropping downhill, you're moving to your left to move back right, and it's almost as if the right front lifts up in the air a little bit, isn't it?
Best way to approach that complex is in a straight line. If you can make it such that those two concrete curbs are onto your outside, then your inside as you go through that corner, you do not get double punished if you lock up. Because if you lock up and your wheel is not straight, you will totally miss one or both apexes. When you do that, and like there is now, there's a ton of gravel down on the track, you get triple punished. Not only do you miss the apex, you lock up, but then you get in the debris offline, either in the marbles or in that gravel, and then you cannot get on the power onto the long straight that brings us into the last sector.
Still following Rashad Craig. He is all over the back of Caleb Brashear. Everything else is pretty stable throughout the field. Kevin Burrell leads it.
What are you talking about? We got a 3-car fight right behind him. Milo Green with Alex Miller and Shady Ahmad. Ahmad and Miller are going to be too wide into the kink here on the backstretch.
Here we go. Shady Ahmad doesn't quite get the move done. And there's that lockup on the right front. They're going to come out. Alex Miller maintains 15th. Milo Green is 14th. So this is a good 3-car scrap. Meanwhile, the MadWorks machine of Matt Taylor has made it off a pit lane, and Matt Taylor has caught the back of this field, which is pretty impressive given that he would have started with about a 10 to 15 second handicap, Clindy.
Yeah, he just didn't know which tire compound to start on and needed all that time to make up his decision. It saved him from the lap 1 calamity, so I'm sure that Matt Taylor is going to take everything he can get here and run laughing to the bank to cash his check.
I'm sure he will. Meanwhile, let's go back up to the front. Kevin Burrell is your leader, and there is Kevin. He runs along in the lead. P1 Docs, Fiercely Forward Racing. In second, you have Mitch Welker, and there's Mitch. Ethan McNichol runs along in third, and he is under big fire from Blaze Andrich and Nick Sudik. So we got a decent 3-car scrap going. That's third and fourth, and then there's Sudik a little bit further back in fifth. You're going to have to go
apt that you should say that Andrich is bringing big fire. He goes by 4 alarm on the Discord.
It's 4.5 seconds back to 6th place Mitchell Ian Green, and Ohey all over the back of Mitchell Ian Green. And so there's 6th and 7th, about another second behind them, Connor Parise, and there's Connor. So nice solid run for him. Now it's 3 more seconds further back to our good friend Logan Edwards. Logan, the jack of all trades, running the AMA Series. He's running the Indy Open Official Series. Logan Edwards is 9th in the number 12, so good run for him. Nadi Immel runs along in 10th.
Shady Ahmad has crashed on the front stretch.
And there's Shady. So let's see what's happened with Shady Ahmad here. That almost looks like and I don't want to say it, but that almost looked like an equipment failure, Clindy.
Let me go back and watch from the cockpit, see if he had a full lock one way or the other. That's like a telltale sign that something broke.
Yeah, he comes off of turn 15 and then just heads straight for the pit wall, and you can tell he's rapidly stopping. Yeah,
that looks like a monitor failure to me, or a VR failure. It was not a wheel failure. It looked like he didn't know where his car was any longer, either a latency issue or a display issue on Shady's part.
There you go. And so Shady Ahmed has towed it back to the pit lane. He will be credited with 18th. He does have the meatball. Must respect the meatball. Meanwhile, Mitch Walker continues to try as he might to close down on the general Kevin Burrell. They were even Steven on that last lap. Matter of fact, Clindy, Mitch Walker was 32 thousandths of a second quicker that last time through. So he is ever so slightly edging forward toward Kevin Burrell in the lazy rocket. Let's see from his perspective what Mitch Walker sees.
If I'm Mitch Welker, I'm going to look to go off sequence and beat Burrell in the pit lane. It is very hard to beat a driver of Burrell's caliber at this track because there's only one fast line all the way around it. There are a couple of corners where you can kind of widen out the apex or take a late apex, but that doesn't allow you to run too wide through the entirety of the corner and make a pass unless you get a little argy-bargy. So what I would do is pit one lap before or one lap after him and use up a bunch of push to pass in the process to see if you can dig out of that 1 second gap that you're behind.
Yeah, it's very difficult to pass a guy like Kevin here, especially with the difficulty to pass, and especially given his road racing knowledge. Even if you got alongside of him, just because the elbows go out doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to get him. Meanwhile, that battle for third has intensified. I looked up and saw Blaze Andrich had made it to the rear wing of Ethan McNichol. And so this continues to be a scrap, Clindy. Third, fourth, and fifth right on top of each other. The first runner on the black sidewall primary tires, Mitchell Ian Green, is now 6.2 seconds adrift of Nick Sudik. And they are about half a second a lap slower on those blacks, Clindy.
Yeah, so many drivers starting on the alternate compound makes me think that it is the preferred tire for this event. Just because usually if it is not the preferred tire, drivers will save it to the end when the tank is near or not full for that second run. I think it's interesting to watch McNichol and Andrich here. They are very much have different minds how to approach each of these corners. There, if you look through turn 2, Andrich overdrives the entry, whereas McNichol gets a really good exit. I think Andrich is all over the button. He's going to look to make a move here into Charlotte's Web, diving to the inside, late on the brakes, side by side, and McNichol goes off and loses his wing. What a shame. They didn't touch. Netcode takes a victim unfairly here. McNichol had a great drive going, and I don't think Andrich meant to hit him.
I don't think they touched, Clindy. I definitely do not think they touched. Here we go into Charlotte's Web, and I didn't see any contact there. As a matter of fact, I just thought that Ethan McNichol locked the rear brakes up a little bit and slid wide. Here you're going to see it. Yeah, they might have touched a little bit, but definitely not a broken rear wing's worth. And off goes Ethan McNichol. And we're going to get back to him because he is on the pit lane and he was not forgiven for that, Clindy.
No, he was punished. He held his line. He gave racing room. And the 9 car did a great job. Good job from McNichol getting back to pit road without crashing. Because when you lose that rear wing, the car feels totally different. It goes from being stable and planted to feeling like you're driving a high-speed jet boat on ice instead of in water.
Yeah, it's definitely... I've wanted to do that on some high-banked ovals, just take the rear wing off, but never have never have attempted it. There was a glitch as we watched Nick Sudik. He is now all over the back of Blaze Andrich, and you'll want to check. I can't make it out, Clindy, but you'll want to check with the contact. Was Blaze Andrich's front wing damaged at all? Doesn't look like it. I can't tell, but I can't get in very tight on it either.
No, it is not damaged, and that's what leads me to believe that contact was entirely netcode. There's not even a scuff on the front of the number 8.
Copy that. So, just a tough break for Ethan McNichol. There used to be a glitch, Clindy, speaking of the rear wing thing, when the Formula 2000s cars would race at Charlotte. Did you ever have the pleasure of doing that, Clindy?
No.
So F2000 used to go to Charlotte, and there was always one guy that figured out that if you could tap the wall in reverse at very low speed, it would disable the rear wing. And the F2000 cars didn't make enough horsepower to get loose, and so that guy would invariably run away with the race. He would get reported, and then you would never see him again because that is cheating. But I've often thought, could IndyCars run high-speed ovals without rear wings? And the answer is probably so. They could be set up to do that. The great Tim Wardrop, who was the engineer for Arie Luyendyk's track record run at Indianapolis, and that mark is going to fall sooner or later, by the way, said that they had a setup for that Reynard that didn't have a rear wing.
You know who's going to wish that he didn't have a rear wing here is Mitchell Ian Green, as Ohei is stalking in his mirror, getting bigger and bigger. Thinks he could have a better use of that rear mirror if he didn't have the wings to better block off Ohei's advance.
That's very true. And here's the thing, right? We don't know what setups these drivers have dialed into these Dallara IR18s. This is an open setup race. Certainly, we know that guys like Kevin Burrell, Mitch Welker, Blaze Andrich, Nick Sudik, guys from the bigger teams and that have been around for a long time, those drivers have pretty refined setups. Maybe not as refined. We know that
history, Murph. Give me some history. What team is Blaze on? I thought he was a free agent.
Well, he may be a free agent, but he's been around for a long time, is what I'm saying.
Copy.
He's a veteran of these wars. He's likely been here before in an open setup race. So even if he's just, he's not to the point of just downloading one from a setup shop and going. I know Ohei works tremendously hard on her setups, right? Same with Seb Alexander, who's now out of the race. Same with Matt Taylor in the MadWorks car. But we don't know kind of what the setup philosophies are for somebody who isn't around a lot. Like, let's say a Nadi Immel, right? We don't know. Are they working with a fixed setup? Did they get something from a shop? Right? We don't know exactly what they're working with. And that impacts the choice, red or black tires, right? Because the general, of course, he's gonna have his setup optimized to whatever the truly the absolute best strategy for this race distance, right? Somebody like let's say Nadi Immel, they may not be that refined, right? They may not have it optimized one way or another. And that would affect their tire choice, would it not?
Yeah, or maybe somebody who's returning to the sim from a long break, right? Like Seb Alexander. I know that the IAR team worked really hard on this setup, but he made one small mental mistake, right? Missed the corner in 1 and then put him in the sand trap in 2, and that destroyed his race car. You just have to be on the ball and be ready for this shorter length event. If you had a setup that was set up for the Pro Series qualifier, and you just kind of slapped that on thinking it would be okay, this event's a little shorter. Maybe you could have done something different with the temperatures that we have and the fuel load that's required in order to give yourself a competitive advantage.
Absolutely true. Nadi Immel, speaking of Nadi, and there they are, the pink teal, and you've got to be a fan of that car, Clindy. Pink and teal and black. That's a good-looking rocket ship. Nadi Immel is closing in on Logan Edwards, and this has been a brewing battle for quite a while. Edwards got by Nadi, but Nadi has slowly closed that gap back up. It was down to 0.2 of a second not too long ago. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, April. Yes, it is horrifying when Clindy starts talking about jet boats on ice. Not a fan of that, but I would think that you would be a fan of the pink and teal, Clindy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Craig Forsyth would race that car tomorrow, given how fond he was of it when he raced at the 4 Series at Homestead. Oh, wow. Naughty just went off on the blind apex there in the third to last corner in the last complex of the track. Kept it under them, and now they are back on the attack behind old Narc Brain.
Yeah, and it's been cool to see Narc Brain. You know, we talk about community, and thank you so much to the community for bringing us to 1,000 subscribers. If you have not already done so, again, make sure you hit the like button on the video, hit subscribe, ring the bell, be notified of all future P1 broadcasting action. Gary Gonzo is going to have the flagship tonight at the ISRA race for Chicagoland. Clindy and I are going to have to hop in the P1 corporate jet, and we've still got a race tonight, brother.
It'll be awesome. Chicagoland's my home track. It's supposed to be a little warm. Daytime race. I hope to get a bit of a tire chewer, and we'll see if I can put the hurt on everybody in Israel this season.
Yeah, it's that's going to be a fun series. I'm looking forward to Chicagoland. I don't know how much I like Chicagoland as a tire chewer. We're going to go back to the battle between Sudik and our good friend Blaze Andrich. This is the final step on the podium. Sudik on the button trying to catch Blaze, but I think the alternate tires are starting to go away for Sudik. He's started to kind of lose ground lap over lap on Blaze Andrich.
Well, we've only got 21 laps to go now. I wouldn't want to split more than half of this race away when I come to pit road, so I'd expect to see the drivers in the next 3 to 5 laps if they're looking to get the most out of each set of tires.
Well, and the thing that you mentioned, Clindy, with strategy is, you know, that what you want to do is you want to run the optimum tire for as long as possible, and then you want to run the suboptimal tire. In this case, we think that's the blacks, the black primary tires. You want to run those for as short a period as possible, but you also want to run the suboptimal tire on the least amount of fuel, right?
Yep, and that's kind of what most people do on that alternate compound. Matt Taylor has now worked his way past Milo Green, making a position on pace. He's now 2 seconds behind Alex Miller.
Yeah, and Matt Taylor has really been picking him up and putting him down. He has gone from a pit lane start, so 19th, plus about a 15-second penalty. He has gotten it all the way up to 13th. Thank you so much, April, again. But he's going, you know, and then we've got a taker. We've got a taker on the pit lane. That is going to be, was that Caleb Brashear? It was not. It was Milo Green has come to the pit lane, Clindy. So Milo is going to trade the primary blacks for the alternate reds with 20 laps to go. Split it just about in half, Clindy.
Yep, missed his box just a little bit, but Milo's going to bolt on those red sidewalled tires. Down and away off the jacks. No speeding penalty. Just a little bit of a time loss there, missing his crew by a couple of feet.
You know, and that's no speeding penalty is key. I acquired a rather expensive speeding ticket yesterday, Clindy, and I know that you were watching. What were your thoughts when you saw the black flag go up for Murphy at Indianapolis, pitting from a pretty good spot?
Well, I called you a name that I've called you a couple times before, but I won't say it on air. But Naughty here is ducking into the pit lane to switch his compounds and bring that teal, pink, and black machine out to the appeasement of the stewards, having raced both. So it is mandatory for each of the competitors here to run both compounds. You cannot get away with just running whichever one is faster.
It is indeed. I'm trying to show as many of the guys as possible. One driver that we have not touched on today, Alexander Miller, has had a very quiet but effective run so far, as we're just now halfway, Clindy. Alexander Miller officially started 19th, so 18th on the road. Alex has made it up to 11th, and so great run for the number 14.
Not only that,
yeah,
Alex is about 0.3 of a second faster than Caleb Brashear right up the road, so that'll be a fight for position here, probably either as they enter the pits or just after.
Yeah, and that's something that we're going to kind of stick with on board. You're watching Alexander Miller last time through 109.703, 109.923 for for Caleb Brashear. Rashad Craig has also turned his car into a rocket. He's gotten around Brashear in a set sail after Logan Edwards. Rashad Craig is down in the 108s. He was the only car the last time by to be in the 1 minute 8 second bracket. And Rashad is on the black sidewall primary tires. And so he may still have a little bit yet to run. He's in clean air. We're going to go ahead and show Rashad Craig, but this is the fastest man at Barber right at the moment. Last time through, he was half a second quicker than the leader.
Yep, business is picking up in the back of the pack. Edwards, Craig, Brashear, Miller, and Taylor all ran their fastest laps of the race last lap. The fastest of them being Craig, and they're all within 1 second, all between 1 minute 8.9 to 1 minute 9.5, which is only 0.8 of a second slower than the fastest man, Kevin Burrell.
Speaking of Kevin Burrell, the General has brought the Fiercely Ford P1 Docks machine to the pit lane. Here's Kevin. He's going to bring it to a stop. The number 1 pit box. And he'll be down and away. Nick Sudik is going to pull his Fiercely Ford machine in as well. That's going to hand the lead to Mitch Welker. Meanwhile, Rashad Craig continues a tear. Fastest lap again on the circuit. And again, he's picking him up and putting him down. He was half a second a lap. He was half a second quicker than Logan Edwards that last time through. He is going to get to Edwards here fairly quickly.
And that's something you don't want to see when you just hopped out of the pit lane, getting in front of other cars. Burrell has come out in clean track. Sudik has come out right behind Matt Taylor. So that's a disadvantage for the Fiercely Forward driver. Whereas Mitch Welker now has inherited a totally clean racetrack, but he's got 2 lapped cars in front of him. Milo Green and Nigel Honegger are both occupying the circuit right in front of him. I would be surprised if Welker runs 1 more lap before coming to service of his crew.
Now, that's not going to bother Mitch Welker too much. Those cars are a pretty fair distance ahead. Nick Sudik, though, he wants to get around Matt Taylor and get gone because that is going to be slowing him up. The issue is Sudik is on the cold primary tires. Matt Taylor's are nice and hot, and it takes a couple of laps to warm those up. Now,
Rashad Craig has spun in turn 2. Almost exactly the same as his teammate Seb Alexander. He clipped the curb in turn 1 and then is now in the sand trap in turn 2. No damage to Craig. He got it stopped by flicking the car around violently, but he has lost several seconds. Now falling behind Brashear.
That's a smart veteran move right there, Clindy. He knows that he's going to hit the inside wall. If he doesn't do that, he steps on the clutch, lights the rear tires up, and spins it the other way, uses the gravel trap to stop, but that's going to cost Rashad Craig big. He was all over the back of Caleb Brashear. He has now lost about 5 seconds, and he is falling into the clutches of the General Kevin Burrell. 15 seconds he lost to Logan Edwards. My fault. I can't add, Clindy. You've got to help me out with the addition.
You did a really good job earlier with the differences in lap time. That 3200s right off the bat. That was pretty good.
I
thought you didn't need the help today.
Fool's gold. Mitch Welker has pulled his car onto the pit lane. That's going to hand the lead to this man, Blaze Andrich. Andrich is going to stay out one more time. Again, though, he's got the lap car in front of him. Is that Nigel Honegger up there, Clindy?
It is. But I would like to point out the gap between Welker and Burrell. It has gotten smaller through pit stops, or at least it was as Welker exited the pits. Let's see if he can nurse these cold tires into an offensive attack, because he will have 2 fewer laps on his tires to end this race for the remainder of the event.
He's trying. It was about 1.3 seconds when he came off the pit lane. It is 1.7 seconds now. There's Mitch Welker. We're going to hop on board the roll bar. He's trying to get those primary tires up to temperature. You see him kiss the push to pass. He's trying, and there he goes. He's around. He's going to save it. Clindy saved it.
Welker made the same mistake Craig did on the opposite end of the track, just pushing too hard to make lap time. The best thing you can do in this car is not try hard. The second you go 1% over the limit, this car will punish you every single time.
Yeah, there it is, and there's Mitch Welker. He's coming off of he's going to get down here. He's going to come. This is what, turns 9 and 10. There he is. He clips the curb. He's going to clip the curb on the inside. And I bet that's going to just turn this baby loose right there. And around the lazy rocket goes. Now, it's not going to cost him anything in terms of position, but what it's going to cost him is a ton of time. He went from 1.7 seconds back to over 5.5 seconds behind the General Kevin Burrell. Meanwhile, I'll tell you who's got the whip in hand. That's Olivia Hayward. Hey, just set the fastest lap of the race, 108.374. She's got the primaries on, and she's running down Mitchell-Ian Green.
Miss Excitement in the purple car sets the purple lap as she races through this field of green cars, just getting by Alex Miller and Rashad Craig earlier in the event, and now trying to get by Ian Green.
Absolutely so. Speaking of Rashad Craig, he is pulled.
Hold on, Murph. One thing. Welker's spin actually will lose him a spot, I believe. I believe Blaze Andrich will be close enough to capitalize on that mistake once he comes to service. Oh, which he just did. Sorry. Welker is just up the road on him, so my calculus was wrong there. I need help adding, too. Go ahead.
That's okay. Rashad Craig, you mentioned him. I wanted to flip back to him because Rashad was right up the rear wing of Alex Miller. He's fallen back a little bit, and Ohe has gotten around Mitchell-Ian Green, who has spun. What has gone on here? Logan Edwards is going to take the purple lap, and Mitchell-Ian Green just got all over that same curb, and poor Ohe. They're going to come together.
She's lost half of her front wing because there was nowhere to go. Let's see if she chooses to nurse this home as a one-wing angel or bring it to the attention of her crew, take the 5 seconds plus the 25 seconds it takes to get down pit road to get it replaced. With only 12 laps left in this event, it may be in her best interest to soldier on and see if she can nurse this injured Dallara home. Another car off the pace on the backstretch. That was Nigel Honninger.
Nigel's got everything.
He came to grief.
Go ahead.
Sorry, he came to grief on that backstretch kink, just like on that default setup would. You just give it a little too much beans, and he's also lost some suspension pieces and his front wing.
Yeah, I think he had the front wing gone before he got there. Meanwhile, so there's Nigel, and he's going to keep it moving with half the front wing missing, as is Ohe. She's got the right front wing missing as well. The suspension damage was forgiven. Ohe's got about 2.5 seconds back to Connor Parise, and then there's 10 seconds back to Alex Miller. So a top 10 definitely is on the table for Miss Excitement here tonight. She's just going to have to kind of play it cool, play it careful. The good news is for Ohe, she's got the red sidewalled alternate tires on, so the maximum amount of mechanical grip is being applied, Clindy, if not the maximum aero.
And the tank will just get lighter from here, so the car should be relatively easy to drive despite missing half of its front aero effect.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, it always cracks me up. They talk about how sensitive and so forth these cars are. I can remember a Denver Grand Prix, if I'm thinking right, where Paul Tracy drove most of the race, leading it with no front wing. He had been involved in a collision with Sebastian Bourdais and ripped the front wing completely off of at the time the players Forsyth car, and PT just kept right on trucking, leading the race with no front wing. And so I always kind of wondered, exactly. I mean, I know they're necessary, right? But exactly how necessary are they? You know what I mean?
I believe the 2024 Toronto race had a similar issue. The leader at the end of that race had their front wing was falling off due to all of the different vibrations in the racetrack. I can't remember if that was a Ganassi car, if it was Palou holding off Herta or Herta holding off Palou, one way or the other. I'm pretty sure it was Palou holding off Herta.
You mentioned
Palou's wing was just about to fall off.
You mentioned green cars. We've got two green and black machines that are doing battle right here. Rashad Craig is all over the back of Alexander Miller. This would be the battle for 9th. Miller has it. Craig wants it. He had that mistake where he spun earlier, flicked the car around, landed it in the stand trap instead of the fence. Rashad should be, 15 seconds up the road in 5th, but no, he is challenging once again for 10th. due to a sudden loss of grip. Clindy, is that what we'll call it? A sudden loss
Yeah,
of
we'll
grip.
call it unexpected traction malfunction.
Pale Blue Dot has informed us it was Pelot with a flappy wing at Toronto. So we're watching the battle for 10th. Kevin Burrell leads it. He's got 5.5 seconds in hand over Mitch Welker. Blaze Andrich is no longer in contact. He's 1.9 seconds behind Mitch. Nick Sadiq is a further 2.5 seconds behind Blaze. And then Logan Edwards, the old narc brain, 12.5 seconds behind Sadiq, but Logan holding down the top 5. Nadi Immel is 6th. Nadi he's close. They are close, Nadi Immel, just on the back of Logan. And then you've got to go 6 seconds back or so to find Connor Preece. And Connor is really kind of alone. Ohe is back there, but Miss Excitement missing half the downforce on the front of that car. It's still clearly drivable. I don't think Ohe is in danger of not making it home. But she has definitely fallen off the pace. And then you've got Alexander Miller and Rashad Craig just in a knife fight for 9th and 10th.
Yeah, and they're going to stab their way all the way up to Hayward here before the end of this event with only 8 laps to go. She's considerably slower than them both.
Yeah, and
Hayward and Craig will both be thinking what could have been had things just happened a little differently for them both this evening.
Yeah, and here's the thing. How is Ohe in her broken car? And she's not doing anything wrong, right? But how is Ohe and her broken car going to affect this battle between Rashad and Alexander Miller? Miller slides wide at the exit to Charlotte's Web, and around goes Rashad Craig. So that battle has now been settled.
Yep, and that is that triple punish. When you lock up that front right tire through that double turn with those concrete barriers, you just slide wide on exit and you cannot get the power down for the straight. Craig used that to great effect, went through the opening and powered down through the straight portions of the racetrack to build a gap.
We're going to get back to Nadi Immel and Logan Edwards. Nadi Immel is consistently challenging, probing on Logan Edwards. Now, they both have just about the same amount of push to pass. 90 seconds for Edwards, 89 seconds for Immel. You see the green light up. That means the driver is on the button. That's the extra 50 horsepower. They get that for 200 seconds. I will put it up on the board, Clindy, but there's the push to pass remaining. Mitch Walker has a dearth of push to pass, 168 seconds. The problem is he's not close enough to use it.
Well, it's not like Formula One's DRS where you need to be within a second to use it. You can use it whenever you'd like. The problem is it doesn't drastically reduce your lap time. It doesn't give you extra tenths every straightaway. It gives you a couple hundredths every corner.
Well, and I'd like to point out too, you'll see it light up for Burrell occasionally, Brashear. There it goes, Andrich, Edwards. What these drivers are doing is they're using the push to pass to kind of get off the corner, right? So you just hit it, give it a little squirt, help you get up into the power band coming off of a slower medium speed corner, and that does help your lap time almost as much as holding the button down the length of an entire straightaway. So they're just using it as like a second, right? Or 2 seconds, just bam.
Not even. It's for as little as the button will register. Sometimes it's not even a whole second of drop-off on your push-to-pass. It just increases the entirety of your lap time using it minimally out of each corner rather than, like you said, draining it for a whole straightaway.
That's correct, Lindy. And the other thing is, you've got push to defend as well. And so you see somebody coming on you, you can absolutely hit that button to keep them from going by you. Ohe has fallen into the clutches of Rashad Craig. She's made it through. Alexander Miller is right there as well. And there goes Miller. That is not an easy place to pass down there, Clindy.
Nowhere on this racetrack is easy to pass.
It's not too bad in a bike.
You've got 2 more tires than that, Murph, and a front wing, and a rear wing, and side pods, and suspension, and a steering wheel. These are not race bikes. These are race cars.
I would beg to differ. Have you seen a MotoGP bike lately with the aero fairings? They most certainly do have at least dive planes in the vein of the old IMSA cars from the late 80s. But they do have aero devices on them for certain sure.
But not wings.
Like I said, go look at it.
Sorry, I digress.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Clindy, go look at a 2025 spec
I'm not saying
MotoGP
they're not
bike.
aero sensitive. I'm saying that they don't have wings. They literally do not have wings.
No, they don't have wings.
I will pay you money if they have wings. They don't have wings.
You're right. They don't have wings, but they do have pretty severe aero devices now. As we're watching Nadi Emmel all over the back of Logan Edwards, trying desperately to get into that top 5. This is the only battle for position on the speedway that is close. Everybody else is separated by over a second, except for Logan Edwards in 5th, Nadi Emmel in 6th. That is the teal and white car of Edwards, pink, teal, and black for Nadi Emmel. This is, again, 5th and 6th. Hello to Matty Wagner. He says he has wings. So that must mean he's taken flight at Chicagoland in early ISRA testing. Once again, we'll have that race live at 9:35 Eastern Standard. The A-Team, Gary Gatso and Luis Gonzalez Nunez, will have that coverage for you. Again, 9:35 tonight. Tomorrow, Clindy, it's your race. It's the Indy Open top, or the Indy Oval top split, 8:15 Eastern Standard. And where are you guys at this week?
We'll be at Legacy Charlotte Yellow Walls.
Ah, yes. The levigated Charlotte, right?
I like your 50-cent words, Murph. I like you trying to keep up.
Levigated. Now, that's a Humpy Wheeler word, so that's worth at least 75 cents. That was back, so for the fans who don't know, at Indianapolis, what they do to make the track super smooth is when they'll repave it, but every so often, Indiana winters being what they are, freeze and thaws, the track gets bumpy. And so the Speedway will occasionally diamond grind the surface to continue to make it billiard table smooth as it always is. Humpy Wheeler said he'd like to try that at Charlotte, and he made the track super bumpy with the added bonus of shredding the tires. And so that's the scan of Charlotte that you guys will be at tomorrow. And then on Wednesday night, we're going to have the Horizon IndyCar Series season finale. That's going to be from Nashville. Ryan-Eric King and I will be on the call at 8. Gary Gatso is going to be over on the Elite Racing League or Elite Racing Network for Thursday night. We'll have Friday off. And then back here at Barber on Wednesday night, or Wednesday evening, for the INDYCAR iRacing Series. That's going to be at 9 o'clock. Thursday, we're going to have the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. They're going to go from Texas, Clindy. That is number 12 in a 12-race stretch for Sam Crow and I on Thursday nights. We're going to get a couple of weeks off after that one. And then the Dark Horse Racing Series happens on Sunday night, 8 o'clock. I understand there are going to be some really cool prizes offered for that one. And that'll put us right back here Monday night for the IndyCar Open Series. Next Monday, Clindy, we are at Indianapolis on the road course.
IndyGP time! I love that road course.
You know,
I've actually seen those MotoGP bikes rip around there. Marc Marquez was in his U.S. streak of undefeated dominance when I got to go.
I was at the first one and did not. I was at the first one and went to the first 2 or 3. Nikki Hayden is from just across the river from where I grew up, and truth be told, that's why I run the 69 on all of my cars. That's to honor Nikki. He and I are the same age, and so that's a tip of the hat to Nikki. But when I went there, Clindy, it was they held the MotoGP in the remnants of a hurricane, and that was the year after Hayden had won the World Championship. They came to Indianapolis. It was in the throes of his contract dispute with Honda, where he was on one tire and Danny Pedrosa was on a different tire, and they had partitions between the garages at Honda, and Honda was basically giving second-rate equipment to its defending world champion. Those were interesting times. Hayden, with most of Owensboro, Kentucky in the stands and 60-mile-an-hour sustained winds, ran second to Valentino Rossi that day. Watching Rashad Craig all over the back of Connor Parise. He may get this done. Craig has closed Connor Preece down 2 seconds in the last 3 laps to get to the back of Connor Preece, and here we go.
Craig said, hey, I might have spun earlier, but now I'm going to press the Intimidate button. I'm going to use every piece of this racetrack and do everything I can to put on a show for the fans at home. Got 1 lap left to get this done.
Rashad Craig, L1 for Intimidate. There you see him all over the back of Connor Preece. They're going to get the white flag, they're going to fly under Barney and get the white flag. So this is their last lap, actually, Clindy. Meanwhile, the general, Kevin Burrell, we will talk to him, I am sure. Kevin is 3.8 seconds ahead of Mitch Walker, Blaze Andrews third. All of those drivers firmly ensconced in the podium. I do not want to leave this, though, Clindy, because Rashad Craig is doing everything possible to get through and get by Connor Preece for 7th.
Driving deep on the brakes. Here they come through the double concrete juke onto the last portion of the racetrack before the back straightaway. Craig's on the button. He's looking for a way around, looking inside and outside. This last 2 corner complex is uphill and blind. Let's see how Craig throws it in.
I don't think he's going to be able to get there, Clindy. We're going to come around this section of corners. There's the pit entrance, and I don't think Rashad is going to quite get there. Connor Preece is going to hold on for 7th, and the man who was the most interested party there was Alexander Miller, because he just about caught both of them while they were fighting. But there is the battle. There is the battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Ethan McNichol has not yet come through. There is Ethan in 10th. Here comes Ohay. She has nursed her car home in 11th. Milo Green doesn't quite get there. Matt Taylor is going to run 13th, and those are your finishers tonight here at Barber. That was a pretty good race, Clindy, all things considered.
Yeah, and Alex Miller takes home the accolade of being our LGN driver of the race. He's up 10 spots from where he started, 19th to 9th. What a race from Alex Miller.
Absolutely. Kevin Burrell, the general, he's going to bring home the win. Mitch Walker second. Blaze Andrich is going to come home third. Nick Sudik, Logan Edwards, Nani Immel, Connor Preece, Rashad Craig, Alexander Miller, and Ethan McNichol are going to round out the top 10. In 11th, Ohay, Olivia Hayward, Miss Excitement, followed by Milo Green and Matt Taylor. They are your finishers. Caleb Brashear, Nigel Honiger, Mitchell Ian Green, Seb Alexander, Shady Ahmed, and Lorenzo Manfredati. They do not finish this evening. So tough breaks for those drivers. Those are your 19 starters. We are going to do abbreviated interviews tonight because Clindy and I do need to. Clindy and I do have another race to be at.
20 minutes and ticking.
Yeah. So let's see if we can't get Blaze.
Just sent him a link to the server if he doesn't have it. I'm see him in the chat now. I can bring him up whenever you're ready, Murph.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk to Blaze Anders. Blaze, you've got Murph and Clindy in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy, sir?
Yeah, I do.
Hey, long time watching you. I think this might be your first time up here. You run third tonight. Anything you think you might have had for Mitch and Kevin, or were they just in a different zip code?
I mean, I was behind, who was it? I unfortunately got into the rear of him. I'll have to go and check the replay again, because I'm not sure if it was my fault or his fault. But I think if I would have been able to out-qualify him, I might have had something for Mitch. I was quick on the blacks. In fact, my entire stint on the blacks was faster than my red stint, which is really weird. Quite interesting. But, I mean, they're just so quick. Mitch has always been really quick, and I'm honestly kind of surprised he wasn't closer to Kevin, and I was farther back. So overall, I did pretty well, but yeah, I think last week, I think I got third in the broadcast race. Didn't even realize that I had to come into here. Totally forgot about that until I watched the replay and was like, oh crap, I missed that. Um, but yeah, I think that was my first ever podium on a broadcast race. So 2 weeks in a row, first ever. Good, good rolling.
Well, Blaze, congratulations on the bronze medal today. Do you have any friends, family, shout-outs, or sponsors you'd like to talk about? Since you've got the mic, the spotlight's all yours.
Well, just thanks to Kevin. I mean, I've been watching him and getting pointers from him for the last like 2 years, so he's helped me out a lot, and I've really been progressing throughout these last 2 years, and will continue to do so. Thanks to everyone in the IndyCar community. Great community there, and yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you so much for stopping by, Blaze. We look forward to seeing you up here in the broadcast booth, on the podium, on many more occasions. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy.
Thanks, you guys.
Yes, sir. That is Blaze Andrich. We are going to move him out and move in our second place runner. It is Mitch Welker, the Lazy Rocket, my man. Started second, wound up second. You had a couple of moments on the blacks there, but anything for Kevin, or was Blaze said that you two were too much. Did you have anything, or was it a tall task just to stay where you were?
I was definitely better than Kevin on the blacks. I think if I hadn't made that little error in the chicane, would have been right with him. But again, this place is so tough to pass at with the dirty air and such. So I'm not sure I would have if I would have had the stuff to get by him necessarily. But could have been closer at least. Happy though overall with everything.
Well, congratulations, Mitch. You got the silver medal today. Maybe had a little more in the tank, but we'll see that through the remainder of the season. Do you have any friends, family, sponsors, or anyone you'd like to shout out while you've got the spotlight? The floor is all yours.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to my team. Project 2, Jared was with me running second split. Unfortunately, had an incident, but he was running great and really proud of him, how he's been doing, picking up the IndyCar. Shout out to Emily watching from home. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to our partners, Lazy Rockets, Open Medicine Foundation. It's been a long time deal with them, so great to have them on board.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mitch. I know it's an abbreviated interview, but thank you so much for dropping in. Keep going fast and having fun, my man. We will see you up here on the podium more, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. That is Mitch Welker, and for the finale, we've got the General Kevin Burrell. Kevin, I'd hate to say you made it look easy, but kind of walk us through the run and tell us how you did it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was a little sort of nervous coming into this week. I felt like I was pretty quick, but I really wasn't actually sure at all. And when I kind of looked at data from the past, I was like, I don't know if I am. But it was for me. I mean, this especially open versus IIS, where you have 90 laps. It's just 100% about qual. I knew I had to put a sick qual together, and when I saw I beat Lorenzo and Q, I was like, well, as long as we don't die immediately, hopefully the dirty air will hurt his tires a little, and we'll just go like that. But he spun lap 1, and then Mitch made it a pretty close battle the whole way through, at least until the pit stop. I was pretty nervous, actually.
Yeah, he had a moment. He had a moment on the cold blacks where he got it sideways, and that kind of put paid to his deal. But yeah, tremendous run.
Yeah, the tire wear here is pretty hardcore. The temps were a little cooler than I tested in, but it's still by the end of the stint, it's kind of shockingly bad. So yeah, I had to be smooth with that.
Well, Kevin, congratulations on yet another win here. Monday night, top split open races.
Thank you.
You've got the whole spotlight here to shout out any friends, family, or sponsors you'd like. The floor is all yours.
Sure. Yeah, of course. The guys at Fiercely Forward. Nick put in some time this week to make the race set better. And we all tried some different stuff, and it was really fun. P1 Docs, obviously. And other than that, yeah, people who watch the stream. And you guys, obviously, my parents. I think they're watching. So yeah, cheers, guys. It was really fun, and I'll be right back for IIS later in the week.
100%. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for stopping in. Keep going fast and having fun, brother.
Cheers.
That is the General Kevin Burrell. Clindy, we saw a extremely fun event. Not at all what I would have thought we were going to see in terms of Barber. A lot of times this place is pretty processional, but that's not at all what we saw, was it?
No, turn 2 definitely had its razor blade sharpened this afternoon, taking a little off the top of all the competitors who drove in there a little too quickly. So be that a lesson to anyone who's looking to do this race themselves later this week or compete in the INDYCAR iRacing Series in one of the 4 events that will transpire over the week.
Yeah, and we do look forward to seeing all of our loyal fans, subscribers, and all of those in the audience back. Clindy and I are going to head out of here. We're going to be in the nightcap at 9:35 again. LGN and Gary Gotso are going to have that one from Chicagoland tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in the Indy Oval race, 8:15 Eastern, from Legacy Charlotte. Wednesday night, the Horizon INDYCAR Series at 8 Eastern. Myself and Ryan Eric King. We're going to have the iRacing INDYCAR Series on Wednesday night, and then Thursday we'll have the Blackmagic Studios Blackmagic Designs Grand National Series. For Kyle Clinworth, Gary Gotso, our founder, and all of our now 1,000 subscribers, we do want to thank all of you first and foremost for continuing to make this possible. We'd also like to give a shout out to all of the first responders, the police, the fire, the military, the EMTs, the nurses in the emergency room at night, all the people that do the job so that we can lay our heads down on the pillow safely. We thank you. Clindy, you got your helmet bag ready, brother?
I'm ready, man, and we're up to 1,013 subs. So thanks to anyone who tuned in and subbed while we're on air. Tell your friends, tell your family, have them come to Chicagoland. It starts in 10 minutes.
Heck yeah, that's going to be a fun show. Clindy, let's go get on the chopper, baby.
See you at track, Murph.